Welcome to Road to Billions podcast, the mentality of an entrepreneur. With your host, Moise Bertrand.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your host, Moise Bertrand, the Road to Billions podcast. And I appreciate you guys for listening and tuning in on this podcast because, a lot of people are doing things that could be taking up other times of their day. But I feel like if you guys are listening to this episode, listen to this podcast, then you guys feel as if like this podcast is important to you in some way, somehow. So I just want to say thank you for everything and continue on this journey that I'm on. And I just wish the best on your journey. A quick way to get to the bag, you guys, and a quick way to really develop the skills of becoming not only a mentor, but a boss and leader is by first being a worker. You got to be an apprentice. Like you guys understand where I come from, like it's not many people putting people on, and I constantly reiterate the importance of teaching people, real estate and just teaching people entrepreneurship and business because I feel like knowledge is abundant. I feel like I could teach you this and I could still make my money. You're not going to mess with my money and I'm not going to mess with your money. And I feel like that's how the world should coexist, but things aren't like that. But I'm here to just give you guys a new beacon of light, of course. And I just want you guys to be an apprentice before you become an entrepreneur and become a boss. You can still be an entrepreneur being an apprentice, but just make sure you're getting some money for something. I'm not saying from the apprenticeship itself, but from something else that's going to at least take care of your livelihood. When I say become an apprentice, I mean it with all facets of like honesty, with all facets of working hard, with all areas of being diligent and doing your due diligence, just because a lot of people don't really understand the importance and also the privilege of being an apprentice. I had a privilege of working under many people who, of course, taught me some real estate here and there, and I just gathered their information, and I went ahead and did it in the field. I went ahead and actually put my knowledge, my experience to the field, to the test, because I felt like that's the only way you're going to become a real, you're going to develop, you're going to graduate from being an apprentice to actual, boss or leader or whatever role you're taking next. And when you're learning this apprenticeship, you're learning that all the ins and out, the game should be sold, not told. And this is how you're going to learn the game. You got to learn the game by getting your feet wet, getting your hands dirty, and also being in the field. Many people don't realize that all it takes is for somebody to be like, hey, can you mentor me? And someone like myself or somebody else is going to take you under their wing. You get me? I don't really feel like people should always be afraid to ask people. But I do feel like if somebody makes more than you and someone is somewhere that you want to be, there's no reason why you shouldn't ask that person to not mentor you. You get me? I had many times and many occasions where I was gracefully mentored by many greats, and I always told them, appreciate you. I always repaid my debts in all facets of ways, whether it's, gathering funds for people or, just helping my mentors out anyway. I provide value everywhere I go. And in order to be someone who provides, who's given this knowledge, you got to have some type of, like I said, patience and value. The value is, are you going to actually work and are you actually going to take some time off this person has that's teaching you to do some of their dirty work? You may look at it like, man, I ain't doing your little dirty work. I ain't doing your lawn. I ain't doing all. But that's teaching you the basics of being a landlord, of being a homeowner. These things are things you're going to have to eventually do one day or the other, or you're going to have to really get accustomed to it. You get me? And I was eventually graced, the privilege, to be in investment deals, to actually see on an everyday basis how legitimate businesses are ran. Some of them are ran in ways where you feel like this is just somebody that's giving out other people work, and this person's the overseer. But this overseer, they already went through all the stages of life. You get me? And I met so many great people here in Atlanta, Florida, Texas, that just gave me the knowledge of not only real estate, but also the gems of saying, listen, 2 to 5 years from now, you're going to be the new mentor. You're going to be the new leader. You're going to be the person who people come to you for advice. People come to you for information because everybody else is getting older, and you're only getting older as well. But the ones who were the baby boomers, 40, 50 years old, they kind of just want to sit down on their retirement right now. They made their millions or hundreds of $1,000s in real estate and whatever they were gracefully successful at. But what I'm saying is it's time for a new generation of people to come in and take over. I'm 26, and, they say the average millionaire, doesn't come a millionaire till 40. The average millionaire doesn't become a millionaire in real estate till like 35, 34. So it's already funded. You get me in my head, in my reality. And I just want to let you guys know, like, you guys got to keep working under somebody you believe in, that you actually trust, that you actually see yourself, walking in the same path, if not better. I want you guys to constantly put your ego aside, because so many people feel like they know everything, and that's why I don't really share my knowledge to swine. I kind of just don't cast my pearls anymore, because it's very tiring. It's very overwhelming when you try to sit down and you try to teach somebody the basics of something. They really just want to insult you just because they feel like, keyword feel like they know more. And once you feel like you got those people in your area, those are not people who are teachable. You want to be with people who are, hey, whatever, if they're going to try to play stupid in order to learn more knowledge, I'd rather that. Because, at the end of the day, I had to do the same thing. Sometimes you got to not really put too much effort into being a better person than the boss, because that's how resentment builds. I don't really look at nobody like who's trying to be better than me or trying to compete with me as a competitor, because I'm in competition with myself. So as long as I'm doing better than what I was and what I had, last year, man, I already beat like myself. I already beat the old me, and this is the new me, and I'm not going to let nobody compete with me. So I just want you guys to understand, like, the level of dedication that you got to put into any craft and any industry you do. You have to really see the vision of where you want to take it at. We're eventually going to have our apartments. We're going to eventually have our own, like I said, it's going to be an amazing place, amazing journey to know me in the next few years. Because like I said, we're going to build our own apartments. We're going to build our own cities. We're going to build our own things. And it may sound crazy to some people, but I already see the vision, and I already have things already laid out. And it's only a matter of time, before we really get things up and moving. But, like I said, I'm a real estate developer, and at one point I wasn't nothing. I was a person who just looking for a quick cash just to come up and, get into some type of like apartment and have some cash. I was trying to get I had a CNA job I was working. I hated it. That was quick cash for me, because I felt like, I was still getting a refund check and getting that. So I kind of was able to put my pieces together and make some diligent moves. And that just propelled me into real estate, because it made me work harder, because I didn't want to live that same life. I wanted to make more. And I always tell God I'm grateful for that, because at one point I was barely making rent. I was barely making food to not only feed myself, but I had a dog, at one point my sophomore year, and I had to get the dog up, because I just had to realize, like, if I really want to save money and really do the things I want to do, I had to cut some losses and make some sacrifices. And everything that led up to the past of my life literally led me up right here. Friendships, breakups, all that stuff led me to the person I am today. So I don't sit here talk on this mic that's giving you guys a good story. I'm literally telling you guys, be an apprentice. If you want to learn how to do locks, go see a loctician, sit under her, do hair, do all that good stuff. If you want to learn real estate, email, get into networking events, get into groups. If you want to do anything, like I said, you got to get in the field. I hate when people just constantly watch and watch and watch and watch and watch. You're not going to get nowhere just watching. I know a guy right now, he's been watching for I don't know how long, and I've been asking him, hey, you ready? And I'm like, bro, either you're going to watch, which I don't want you to do, because like I told you guys, I don't like when people don't make the best of themselves, because I always try to be better than myself. So it's like, if I know you, I want you to be better than you were. So a lot of people, they're not ready for that type of due diligence. They're not ready for that hard work. And that's why I'm saying, if you're going to do anything in life, you got to be able to put that I'm out here making up words. You got to still put that performance, to test. You still got to get into the field, You still got to be able to reciprocate. I think that sounds better. You got to be able to reciprocate whatever you're putting out, whatever the person's giving you. You got to give that back. You got to give other people the knowledge. You got to give back to the people who taught you. You got to give back to the people who are younger than you. You got to give back to the people who look like you. And I tell people, you got to get in the field, man. You got to work hard, bro, because if you want to make millions, if you want to make six figures, if you want to make quarter, if you want to make half, you got to get in this field, bro. You got to do things that other people don't want to do. And sometimes that's just doing like the most. You got to be the first risk taker. You got to be the groundbreaking innovator. I told a lot of people, I'm not here to be a friend. I'm here to lead you sometimes. And some people want to confuse the friendship role with being a leader. And I'm like, not all leaders are going to be your friend, but at least I can lead you. I'm not here to hold your hand. I'm here to tell you, listen, this is what's going on. This is the route I think will be best for you. Why? I just feel like that's the route that's best for you. Do you have to take my word on it? No. Do you need to? You should consider it highly. Why? I don't know. I've been doing it for so long. When I start talking to you like that, you're like, what's the worst that could happen? And then, I don't want you to think about you becoming an apprentice and not knowing how to really take off from there because you worked hard. You get me? And when the teacher leaves, that's when you're ready. When the teacher appears, that's when you're ready. You get me? So it's the same thing, man. You got to be able to look at yourself like, I learned all this already. I learned everything up until this point, and I'm going to start my own business. And when I do, it's going to be just successful, if not more, than the person who taught me, the people who taught me. And I want you guys to constantly think that in any type of endeavor or type of opportunity you get, because a lot of people, they're just looking to be an apprentice just because they just want to make the money. But the money's going to come regardless. But the way you're going to make the money is just by doing the work. You got to do the foundational work. You got to do the work prior. You got to do the work that no one wants to do. And, once you get that out the way, you'll be good to go. So once again, I appreciate you guys for listening to Road to Billions podcast. It's been an amazing journey, you guys. Check out my other episodes. And once again, keep doing your thing on your journey.